If you're in the mood for some scary videos, you've come to the right place. We'll be looking at some disturbing footage from all over the world that defies explanation. That is, unless you believe in the paranormal. Number 15. Many people believe that children are more sensitive to the spirit world, and in the case of this next scary video, a young girl had been telling her parents that she believed there was someone in her closet, and at first glance, they were very skeptical. But her parents were forced to face an unpleasant truth when they checked the footage of a camera that had been placed in her room. After she had woken them up by crying, she said that a bad man was in her closet, and what they saw on the footage shocked them. While the girl is sleeping, her closet door slowly starts to open after an audible click is heard. The door swings open a little bit at first, but then starts to open all the way without explanation. When it finally opens all the way, it's plain to see that there's no one inside who could have opened it. And eerily, the only plausible explanation is that there really is an entity or spirit in the closet which does not enjoy being closed in. Number 14. Dash cams are a wonderful invention that's provided law enforcement with valuable information on car crashes and other incidents over the years. But there's also a darker side to dash cams, as with most cameras, as they sometimes capture the inexplicable, as is the case in this next creepy clip. In the footage captured by this driver's dash cam, they're just arriving at an intersection with another car in front of him also waiting to turn. Everything seems normal, and the front driver touches his car's brakes while ensuring that there's no oncoming traffic. However, as he makes the turn into the intersection, a car suddenly appears out of nowhere just as the car accelerates into the intersection. Although the two cars end up colliding, thankfully no one sustained any injuries, but I'm sure there was a whole lot of confusion as to where this car suddenly appeared from. Some people have speculated that the dash cam was at just the right angle to conceal the oncoming car, but that doesn't account for the fact that the driver accelerated just as it passed in front of him, as if he had no idea that it was there, especially since he was taking care to check for oncoming traffic before the collision occurred. Number 13. This next video shows that paranormal activity is not only reserved for the dark hours, but that something inexplicable could happen at any time of day. The scary clip starts with 5 young men and women sitting in what appears to be a classroom. They're sitting on white plastic chairs, and a few of them are holding guitars, perhaps getting ready for a music lesson. One of the boys in the back is getting himself a chair when an object that's been placed on a chair to their left falls to the ground with no explanation. One of the boys notices that it's fallen and gestures to the others, who then start to talk about it, but no one seems to think that there's something sinister going on. They discuss it for a few seconds until one of them gets up and places the object back on the chair. He sits back down and the group faces the front once more to concentrate on their lesson. But the object shifts again without anyone noticing. But as they look back at the object again, a chair that's been placed at the back of the room shifts, causing them to jump out of their seats while looking on. In the next moment, it moves as if someone shoved it, and the whole group runs for cover. Number 12. There are many scary things in this world, but few compare to an unidentified creature waiting to be discovered in a dark, closed-off room, ready to pounce, as is the case in this following scary video that was uploaded to TikTok. Come on. The clip takes place at night at what I assume is an abandoned building of some kind. Two men are exploring the building with nothing but a flashlight to provide light in an otherwise completely dark room. One of the men focuses his light on a wooden door in front of him, and he punches it open effortlessly as if it's been left unlocked. As they enter the room, their flashlight reveals building rubble lying on the floor, but when the light reaches the back of the room, they see something terrifying. Against the far wall, they spot an oddly shaped figure hunched in the darkness, and I imagine they must have been unable to make out what it was. In the next moment, their horror escalates as the creature suddenly lunges forward and comes running directly at them on all fours. The men are startled and begin running away, with one yelling, "Let's get off the property, come on." But even more disturbingly, the creature lets out an unearthly scream that I'm sure they'll never forget. Number 11. This next strange clip has many people questioning their vision, as it appears to show a man who has the ability to pass through solid objects. In this grainy but creepy security footage that was taken in February of 2023, a man can be seen emerging from a building to the left of the screen. A man who's reviewing the footage points him out to us, so he's easy to follow as he walks across what appears to be a dirt road. He makes his way across the road at a brisk pace and passes in front of someone who's walking in the direction of the camera. But what happens next is something truly strange. As the man reaches a wall that runs parallel to the road, he doesn't slow down as expected, but keeps walking in the same direction. Now, you would expect him to bump into the wall, and we would put it down to a lack of concentration, but instead, he passes through the wall, as if either he or the wall wasn't there in the first place. He emerges on the other side of the wall and saunters off into the distance, leaving us with no explanation and a whole lot of questions. Was this just an optical illusion? A fault with the camera, or did he really walk through a solid wall? Number 10. We look at more security footage now, taken in 2020, and it shows a strange event that needs to be explained. The security camera in this clip is pointing at a laundry room, and just a few seconds in, a woman appears on screen carrying a laundry basket full of clothing. She walks over to the washing machine and begins to put the clothes in when an open door behind her begins to close of its own accord. She doesn't notice and continues to add the rest of the clothes to the machine. But when the door closes fully, she hears it and stops mid-motion, clearly worried that there may be someone behind her. She turns around and looks at the door while pushing the clothes down into the washing machine. She glances back at the machine for a second, but quickly turns back to the door, and it's now certain that she's perturbed by what she heard and is feeling unsettled. She seems to freeze for a second, as if she can hear something on the other side of the door, and she waits to see if anything will happen, which it does. As she looks on, the door moves slightly before it's pushed open from the inside, and she makes a run for it. Number 9. This strange video was taken in Kent, England, and has left many commenters scratching their heads. As the clip starts, we can see a bright orange object that appears to be falling from the sky above a building in Kent, and at first it resembles an asteroid entering the Earth's atmosphere as it burns up. But a few seconds in, it suddenly splits into two, and the separate pieces begin to travel in opposite directions, with puffs of smoke emanating from each in short bursts. The two objects continue on their respective trajectories for a short while, until they both turn upwards and start to move toward each other again. As the clip comes to an end, the two objects seemingly begin to fade away, possibly because they're flying off into the distance. Some people have stated that the strange sight is the result of sophisticated fireworks that were let off in the area, while others think it may be drones or two planes taking part in an aerial display. However, there are many more that believe the objects to be an extraterrestrial craft that can fly either as a single unit or as a smaller individual unit. Unfortunately, the person filming the strange footage chose to remain anonymous, and hence there's only the video to look at as evidence. Number 8. If you were ever to spot a mythical creature, I'm sure you wouldn't expect it to be while you were sitting on the side of the road in your car. But the woman in this weird clip was doing just that when she experienced something strange in Memphis.
Turn this easy down. This better not be what I think it is. This better not be what I think it is. It's a mermaid. It's a mermaid!
The woman is filming out the window of her car while listening to music on the radio, and she says, quote, "I feel like I'm seeing stuff, but hold on." She zooms in on a dark spot on a body of water, and it looks like someone or something is taking a swim. The creature breaches the water for a second, and we can see that it has a long, curved body. The woman then turns her radio down and says, "This better not be what I think it is." She's about to get the shock of her life when the creature dives under the water, followed by a long mermaid-like tail, and she cries out, "It's a mermaid," with clear excitement in her voice. Unfortunately, there's no other footage of the strange creature, and we're left to speculate as to what it was. In this woman's mind, however, there's no doubt that this was a mermaid that she caught on camera. I, for one, would certainly have returned to that spot to see if I could see it again. Number 7. Most of us are immediately skeptical of grainy footage of supposed UFOs, but when the footage is captured by an actual TV crew, it's a little harder to dismiss straight away. This creepy footage comes from an investigative TV crew that was filming in Peru in February of 2015. While in the middle of an interview, the crew stopped to film something that they'd spotted in the sky above a construction site. At first, it just looks like it may be an airplane flying off into the distance. But when the camera zooms in, it paints quite a different picture, and we can see that it doesn't resemble the aircraft that we're used to seeing. A closer view reveals that it is, in fact, a disc-shaped object with a domed top that's hovering in the sky. We can also see other people that are with the TV crew, filming the object with their cell phones while discussing what it could be. It's a strange sight indeed, and we can see that the object is strangely purple in color. It doesn't seem to be moving at all, but instead it looks like it's hovering soundlessly in the sky. No official explanation was ever given for what was captured on camera here, leaving onlookers to wonder if what they saw was an extraterrestrial craft or something less disturbing. For now, it remains an unsolved mystery. Number 6. One of the last places you would ever expect to see a ghost is while driving down the road on a motorbike, but that's exactly what happened to the man in this next scary video.
플레움이라고 해야 되나? 그런 냄새 맡는 것도 뭐야? 뭐야?
The uploader of this creepy clip regularly records himself driving his motorbike, but on this occasion, he experienced something that he wasn't ready for. While driving at night, we can see that the only source of light comes from the motorbike's headlamp, and it doesn't take long before it falls on something that shouldn't be there. Before we can even see what's going on, the rider lets out a terrified yell as he spots something further down the road. But we're soon able to see what was causing him to shriek in such terror, as a strange white figure appears in the middle of the road in front of him. As the bike passes by the figure, we can see that it looks like a person, except that they seem to be missing their head. The rider immediately starts to slow down, still letting out gasps of terror, and he stops by the side of the road breathing heavily. He then turns his bike in the opposite direction and heads back to see if he can spot the apparition again. The man later stated that when he reached the spot where he saw the strange figure, there was nothing there, but he could hear weird noises coming from the side of the road. He added that he saw the figure again and it tried to follow him, but he was unable to capture this on camera. As the clip comes to an end, we can hear the rider still gasping with fright as he makes his way out of the area as fast as he can. Number 5. A scary video that was uploaded to Twitter claims to show an alien captured on camera in Mexico. The creepy security footage shows what appears to be an empty lot at night, and from the top of the screen, a weird figure can be seen floating into view. At the bottom of the screen, a few dogs can be seen running into the lot, seemingly barking at the figure that's appeared. This causes it to slow down and hover in place for a few seconds, but it seems to make a decision to move away from the dogs by floating off to the right of the screen. The dogs also seem disturbed by what they're seeing, as they decide not to follow it, but they keep barking at it from a safe distance. Our best view of the figure comes when it floats up and onto a nearby embankment, and we can see that it has a humanoid shape. But as it reaches the top of the structure, it's plain to see that this is no human, as it has no legs and it's clearly floating over the embankment. Was this a prank that someone was playing on the dogs with a drone? Or did the security camera manage to capture something otherworldly that we're unable to explain away? Number 4. Wouldn't life be easier if we were able to teleport? No more getting stuck in traffic on the way to work, and no more long drives to a holiday destination. But is that what has been caught on camera in this intriguing clip? This weird CCTV footage shows a busy sidewalk with people milling about as they go about their daily lives in what appears to be a city. A woman wearing a pink top crosses in front of the camera toward a van that has been parked by the side of the road. She gestures to someone further away off camera, blissfully unaware of what is about to happen in the street in front of her. Behind a sign on the sidewalk, a man suddenly appears out of thin air. He wasn't hidden by the signpost, as it's too thin to obscure his entire body. There's no mysterious flash of light, no portal that opens up, but instead, he just seems to materialize out of nowhere, and he seems to be looking at his phone. He then hops over a chain between two concrete posts and hurries across the sidewalk and out of view. And surprisingly, none of the people walking in his direction seem to have noticed anything out of place. When the footage is slowed down, we can see that the man's legs materialize first, quickly followed by the rest of his body. Do you think that this was a glitch in the camera system, or was he holding a device that allows him to teleport to wherever he needs to be? Number 3. Libraries are supposed to be areas where we can relax while reading a book in silence. But the following scary clip shows a library that I would do my best to steer clear of. This scary video was filmed by security cameras at a public library in Massachusetts and was given to a man named Jeff Bellinger while he was visiting. In the clip, Jeff explains that he's visited the library before, and the staff there believes it to be haunted by its first librarian, an old woman called Ora Adams Hinckley. On this occasion, however, he was told that the library security cameras caught some ghostly activity and he decided to take a look. In the first clip, a woman can be seen sitting at a table when a pot of flowers suddenly falls from a shelf behind her, coming crashing down on the floor below. In the next clip, the camera shows a hallway with a short stairwell, and on the right of the screen, 2 potted plants can be seen. That is, until one of the pots drops off the shelf, just like in the first clip, and it too smashes on the ground. But the most disturbing of these clips shows a room with books lining the walls when 4 books suddenly dislodge from the bookshelf and fall to the floor with no explanation, as there isn't anyone in the room. Could it be that Ora is haunting her old workplace and that she has an aversion to modern literature? But if so, does she also have a dislike of potted plants? Number 2. Seeing a spirit must be an unnerving experience, but having one follow you around is an experience that I wouldn't wish on anyone. But that's precisely what happens in this next scary video. This creepy clip of what appears to be an airport shows a man hurrying over to a pickup point where he's expecting a taxi. He waits next to a pillar for a few seconds, waiting for the cab to pull up. As it stops, the man walks over, and someone opens the back door for him to get in, which he does before the cab drives away. But a closer look at the footage shows something strange happening as the man walks towards the car. As he walks away from the pillar, a creepy, dark figure appears behind him and follows him all the way to the taxi, making its way inside just as the man closes the door. Since the taxi drives away normally, we can only assume that no one in the vehicle was aware of the figure that joined them, and maybe that's a blessing in disguise. Number 1. Working in a nightclub sounds like a fun experience, but this club in the UK seems to be the exception to that rule, as there seems to be weird activity going on in the building, taken after hours when the club was shut. This CCTV footage was inspected after the club's alarm sounded. Upon finding no one on the premises, the manager of the club decided to take a look at the footage, and he was not prepared for what he saw. The first sign of trouble comes when a balloon that has been left above the bar begins to move for no reason. Next, a wet floor sign that's been left in the middle of the floor falls over without explanation. Just as this happens, an orb flies past the camera in the direction of the bar. But the most damning evidence comes from a bar stool placed opposite of the bar when it slowly shifts across the floor. It sits in that position for a second before it's pushed over completely, despite there being no one nearby. The manager added that they've experienced similar events in the past, but that this has convinced many of his staff members that the club is haunted by a poltergeist. Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more of everything Bill knows. But my name is Ty Knott, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.